In the world of fiction, there are many characters that people believe to be the strongest. And among these characters, there is one that a lot of people seem to think is the most powerful character ever, or is just really just strong in general. And so today, we're going to be putting him up against one of my favorite characters of all time. The character that a lot of people say is one of the strongest is, of course, the Doomslayer.
Rip and tear until it is done.
But anyways, so we're also going to be putting him up against the Tenno. In this fight, you know, there's going to be a lot of explanations. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. This is going to be a very long fucking video, isn't it? Fuck me, man. What the hell, man? Anyways, so, let's get right into it, shall we? Scaling. We're gonna start off with some of his wall level and building level shit. So, I think we can all agree that Doomslayer should absolutely scale to every and all demon in the Doom games. That being, you know, the flying eyeball ones, you know, the meatballs with the one eye, the imps, all them. We can all agree that Doomslayer should scale to all those demons in the Doom franchise. And I don't think I need to bring up any videos to showcase that. And if I did, it would just take forever. So, yeah, I'm not gonna go through and find clips of Doomslayer killing every single find a clip of Doomslayer killing every single demon in the franchise. I'm not doing that, okay? It should be pretty blatant that Doomslayer scales to the demons. And if you think otherwise, then you just do not know the Doom franchise at all. It's literally about killing demons. So, yeah, Doomslayer should just automatically upscale any feats that demons can perform. This is important as there are some demons like the imps who can like crack holes into walls, which gets to wall level plus. And there's also some other demons who can break entire chunks out of the floor, which have been calced to small building level to even building level. So Doomslayer is already a building buster character, but he can get way higher as he scales to the Icon of Sin, which was stated in, I believe, Doom 2, to being able to wipe untold miles off of the Hell's surface. This is important as this was calced to small city level, but it can potentially get higher if you believe it's a form of some kind of earthquake, which was even able to get into the mountain level to island level ranges. There's not really much to say about the low end scaling, as it's just calcs and I just have to show the pictures on screen. There's not really much to say about them. And unfortunately I couldn't find any scans for low tier speed scaling for the Doomslayer, and I don't have the games myself, and I don't know much of other feats that he could perform other than like the immeasurable ones. I haven't really seen anything for that. Actually, if I remember correctly, he can like dodge like some sort of energy thing, but like I don't really remember, and I can't be fucked to go look for it and look through hours of someone playing the game just to fucking find it. So I can't be fucked to do all that research, especially since I can't just find the scans. I'm sure they exist. It's just I don't know. I don't want to take longer than I have to make this video, as I do want this video out eventually. So I would like it to get done sometime today instead of sometime next year. So yeah, we're just gonna get right into the immeasurable speed feats. So yeah, he was stated, he has consistent statements of being able to travel through time, being called a time walker, and it's implied that he brought his like fury to like different points in time or something like that. So yeah, he has some pretty consistent statements for being able to travel through time, but there's more to this, as he was able to fight a seraphim, a winged seraphim, and was able to react to them and keep up with it in some way, shape, or form. A winged seraphim is stated to be able to traverse all of creation, which includes countless timelines, or like infinite timelines. So it's traveling through different space-times, like moving through space-times. They can move that fast. So yeah. So Doomslayer should be able to like slightly downscale this speed feat, being able to get to a measurable speed through consistent statements, implications, and feats shown on screen that he can keep up with beings who can travel through timelines, or implied to travel through timelines at least. So yeah, there's some consistent stuff for a measurable speed Doomslayer. So yeah, now for the higher tier scaling and shit, which shouldn't be that hard, as even though Doomslayer is a pretty powerful character, his feats don't require that much explanation, except for a few. There are a few that require a lot of contextualization, but there's not a whole lot that I have to really talk about. It's not really going to turn into a yap session. I'm pretty sure I can get this done in under 10 minutes, or maybe even under 12 or something. But basically, so Doomslayer with his fight with Devoth was causing the multiverse to collapse or implode. This is already a multiversal feat, and if you really wanted to go there, if you really wanted to lowball this feat a little bit, you could, or just downplay it, you could, it would be Universal Plus at least, as the universe does contain, or like creation does contain timelines, and the universe is described as having space-times inside of it. So this already makes Doomslayer a multiversal character, pretty blatantly, as well. There is probably way more universal feats, but the ones I've seen aren't really that noteworthy. There is one where he can like hold this infinitely dense weapon, but it's like, who really cares about that? It's like high universal, yeah, but like it could also be like hyperbolic, and you know, who really cares about it? So yeah, that's like the only other universal feat I've seen for him. But to make this even more consistent, the Icon of Sin like passively was warping the fundamental laws of the universe just by existing, and Doomslayer can kill the Icon of Sin pretty blatantly, pretty on screen blatantly even. So yeah, Doomslayer can scale to a character who was warping and like causing the fundamental laws of the universe to like fuck itself. So yeah. Now to get on to the tier 1 scaling for the Doomslayer. Let's start off with the basic cosmology of some shit, just to, you know, get it done. So for one, like I said earlier, and like I proved earlier, space-time does exist in the verse. It's consistently stated that there is space-time, or implies there is space-time, because there can exist tears in space-time, and the Icon of Sin was causing space-time and reality to literally fuck itself in the ass. So yeah, there is like consistent statements and implications that space-time does exist. This is important as Urdak is stated to be a higher dimension to the base universe. So yeah, that gets it to like a 5D structure, as like space-time is 4D, 3 space 1 time, and Urdak was stated to be a higher dimension. That means it should logically have 4 space and 1 time. This makes it a 5th dimensional structure, as its space-time is quantitatively way higher than the universes by a whole dimension. This is important as Hell, or Jekkud, is stated to be superior to Urdak. So you can like logically conclude that Hell also has a dimensional difference to Urdak. This is consistent as it took way more power from Devoth to create Hell than it did for him to create Urdak. So yeah, this makes Hell a 6th-dimensional structure, as it has 5 space and 1 time, due to the same explanation as for why Urdak has 4 space and 1 time. This is important as Hell is described as an extension of Devoth.
Is Hell its own living entity, or is it an extension of the Dark Lord's power as well? And then as a side note, they said, I collect 40k as well, so that's really cool to see. Other than that, thanks for making such a great video.
It's actually a really interesting question, and it's going to be answered into more depth, but I can say it is an absolute extension of Dark Lord.
I love it.
And Devoth was even able to create Hell, so he should definitely scale to Hell itself. Doomslayer was given the power of a prime evil, and was even able to beat Devoth. So therefore, Doomslayer should scale to Devoth, who scales to Hell, which is a 6th-dimensional structure. It is also consistent with the fact that Hell is like an extension of Devoth, as Hell was literally like was destroyed the moment that Devoth was killed, and all demons were killed as well. So this implies that Hell's existence is tied to Devoth's existence. So this means that Devoth should be a 6th-dimensional entity, as he should scale to a 6th-dimensional space-time of Hell, that being Hell, and Doomslayer should be 6D due to scaling to Devoth, as he could beat the shit out of him in a fight, and was given a primeval's power, which primevals can like fight with each other. It's like implied that they can fight with each other, and we do see Doomslayer fight with and kill Devoth. So yeah, this means that Doomslayer should be a complex multiversal character with a measurable speed. As for haxes, he has some pretty good ones actually. He has BFR, absorption, essence absorption. He has and which I'm pretty sure those essence absorptions like exist at the conceptual level. So yeah, he has some pretty good stuff. I will be linking a VSBW page with all of Doom Guy's haxes, which you can look at, because there's a lot that he has. He has he has shit like acausality types 1 and 4, immortality negation type 4, non-physical interaction, fate manipulation, probability manipulation that works at the 6th-dimensional level. So he has some pretty good stuff. He also has layered essence manipulation, reality warping, law manipulation. You know, he has good stuff. He has some pretty good haxes. I will be linking a page, a VSBW page, with all of his haxes and resistances. Because there's just so many, and there's not a whole lot of time to just like go over it all. So yeah, it's just best to just you know, link a page. So yeah, Doomslayer is overall 6D with a measurable speed and some pretty good haxes. So yeah, let's move on to Tenno. Moving on to the Tenno, we already have some pretty good stuff to work with, as the Tenno should be able to downscale any warframe feat, as they are physically comparable due to stats and showings in verse that the Tenno can physically compare, but they aren't on the same physical like level. This is already important, as Inarus can do this feat, which gets to it gets to town level, to small country level. This is unfortunately all the low tier scaling I could find for the operator or the Tenno, which is pretty sad. There isn't really much else in terms of like physical stats. But in terms of speed, like I said before, the Tenno should be comparable to a warframe. They just downscale all physical stats. Warframes are able to react to Vor's beam. I don't know where this gets calced to, but I'm gonna say it's like faster than your average bullet, or something, and they can react to it anyway. And I've heard some arguments that it's like a beam of light or something, but I haven't really had time to look into all those arguments. But yeah, the Tenno don't really offer much in terms of like low tier scaling. They're a pretty cosmic character, but there is some other stuff. Like for example, they can cleave through Grineer armor, which is made out of ferrite, and ferrite's like this metal, so you could say that they're like really high into street level to possibly wall level. We really wanted to stretch it. Yeah, that's that. Oh yeah, they can also tank like rockets from like RPGs and shit, which does get to like wall level as well. But like you can like find these feats in the game, and honestly there's not really much to show, and I can't really find these calcs, and it's really hard to really find the enemies in the game that like they have like a jetpack and they fly up and they hit you with rockets. It's really, I don't really know how to like find them specifically. I don't really know where I could find them specifically, so it's not really that interesting, to be honest. It's not really that important. So we're kind of, there's not really much to show for Tenno's low tier scaling, unlike Doomslayer, who has a lot of showings, but that's because Doomslayer has been a very popular character to power scale, and Tenno is unfortunately not that popular in the power scaling community. So there isn't a whole lot of calcs for Tenno, and there's not really a whole lot to go off of, so I can't really tell you for sure where those would scale anyway. I would assume that they would be like wall level, but what do I know? They could be like building level or a small building. I don't know. So I could be completely wrong on that. Yeah. So there's not really much else I can do. So I guess I'll just get into like more of the cosmic scaling, since there's not much Tenno has. So I'll just get into the low tier cosmic scaling. That being that, like I said before, Tenno should downscale warframes, but in terms of like haxes, the Tenno should have like way better haxes and abilities. So with this in mind, the Tenno should be able to scale to warframes like Protea, which are implied to have created an entire separate space-time in the Void, which is pretty impressive, which is already a Universal Plus feat, but it gets way higher when you consider that the Void has a multiverse that Void energy can affect, which is the thing that the Tenno controls. Void energy Void energy like causes this phenomenon called conceptual embodiment. Conceptual embodiment was able to create an entire multiverse with separate timelines called the Strands of Craw, which it has its own like timelines. It has timelines in it, so that's already a multiversal feat. You could argue this to Multiversal Plus, as there are there's also Eternalism, which you could argue is connected to the Strands of Craw, which basically anything that you do once, there's like another reality where you did like the opposite thing, and there are infinite moments across space-time, so there should be like infinite possibilities. So yeah, you can argue this to a Multiversal Plus feat, but even if you didn't, this is already a multiversal feat, like at least low multiversal, as it's stated, conceptual embodied timelines plural. So there should at least be 2, but there is possibly more, like way more. So I'm gonna say low multiversal to possibly Multiversal Plus if you really wanted to go there. But this gets way more impressive with just one space-time alone, when you consider that one space-time can contain 4-dimensional walls, which is already a 5th-dimensional thing, which already makes the universe 5th-dimensional, as like I said before with the Urdak argument in Doomslayer's section, it's that when you can since the universe can contain a 4-dimensional structure, that should imply that it has 4-dimensional space, and considering space-time exists, that means that it is like added onto time, because like space-time goes together. That would mean it's 5th dimensional, but you can get this higher, as there is 5th dimensional like geometry or whatever, as stated in the Rising Tides quest, where a Cephalon, I forget his name, it'll be shown on screen, but I'm gonna have this recorded before I like post the scan. So, but the Cephalon is stated that there are like 5th dimensional geometry or geometrics. So this means, and there's really nowhere else that these geometrics could possibly be. So this means that it should exist in the universe. And if you really didn't, and that would make it like 6th dimensional, because like 5th dimensional space plus 1 dimension of time, 6D. But if you really didn't, but if you don't buy that, then the universe should definitely be 5th dimensional, as Darvo literally goes to the 4-dimensional wall. So so like that implies it's in the universe itself. So since the universe can contain 4-dimensional constructs inside of it, and space-time. This means that the universe is at least a fifth-dimensional structure to possibly sixth-dimensional if you really wanted to go there. But so this means that Protea's space-time creation feat gets to low complex multiversal already, which the Tenno should scale to as well, since the Tenno should downscale anything that the warframes are capable of doing, or upscale them if it's in terms of abilities, because or just scale to them in general. So the Tenno should definitely get this 5D scaling, but there's a lot more to it, like a lot more. So basically, there are implications that dualism does exist in the verse, and the void takes thoughts and memories. It takes any mental construct you have and turns it into makes it part of its own cosmology, or turns it into something real. I know people will point to the fact that it says physical and say it's not conceptual, it's physical, so it loses the conceptual aspect, but no, that's not how it works, as it's also stated to take on, concepts taking on form in the void through conceptual embodiment. Taking on form doesn't exactly mean it has to be physical. And this is also something that can be argued from the strands of Craw, as it doesn't have to be physical. Physical or taking on form can just mean it becomes real, and that's kind of what it does with the strands of Craw when it comes to the concept of causality, as that's what it's turning into, that's what it's using to make the strands of Craw, as it turns them into it takes the concept of causality and turned it into a multiversal system. So there's a lot more examples I could bring, but this is really all I need. So the void turns things real. It doesn't turn them exactly physical. They can be physical, for example the void angels, which are void manifestations, and they are physical, so it can be physical, but it's not always physical. It can turn into a cosmology system like it did with the strands of Craw. So, and when it comes to things like concepts like causality or dualism, I think that is exactly what it is doing with that. So it turned the concept of duality into it is implied it should have turned the concept of duality into a cosmology system. This is because that the Orcans should have went to the void. They must have gone to the void at some point, as they did build they did build towers in the void, and there are further implications of this, as dualism is a philosophical concept, and the void changed every aspect of philosophy and science. This is important, as when it did something similar with eternalism, where eternalism was only thought to be a theory of time, but after the void was discovered, it was then discovered that eternalism isn't just a theory of time, it's also a multiversal system. So when something is changed due to the void, it can be derived and concluded that that thing should exist in the void, as that's how it works with eternalism. So there is so we are consistently seeing things that change or from what people think they are. We consistently see, we more so see them when they're changed. It is because they are inside the void. So since dualism is a philosophical concept, and it should exist in the void due to the fact that it changed every it changed every philosophy, and science changed every aspect of them. And so therefore, and due to the thing before about the Orokin holding dualism as truth, and so therefore the Void should have it as well, because they have they should obviously have gone to the Void, and the Void does take like thoughts, memories, does take shit like that, concepts, and turns them into something real. So yeah, that is how the Void works, and that is what we see it do. That's what we see it do. So therefore, dualism should absolutely exist inside of the Void. And it should be like the concept of dualism. There is a Wikipedia page that explains why dualism should be in cosmology should be a low outer thing, but since it's also taking like the concept of duality, you could also argue that it is taking Platonism, as there is a Platonic form of duality there, and where it actually uses the world of forms. So yeah, you could also take that and conclude that it is also taking like the world of forms and putting it inside itself. So the Void has the concept of duality, but you could also argue it has the world of forms inside of it. And this is all important, as the Tenno's void energy is what, like, void energy is what the Void uses to use. It's like what conceptual embodiment uses. So, since conceptual embodiment requires void energy, and that's the thing that the Tenno uses to like have all their abilities, then this means that the Tenno should be low outer versal to a layer into outer versal, since since they should be able to scale to the concept of duality and the world of forms. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff. There's a lot more, and I'm going to get into that eventually. But I want to also be able to argue. I want to quickly be able to argue that why the Tenno should be able to physically scale to this, and it's not just their hacks. So basically, the Tenno can fight with Umbra. They should be able to downscale Umbra. They can like tank attacks from him. They can hurt him. They can, they can do a lot of shit. And Umbra and like void energy kind of like tickles Umbra. It like doesn't. It kind of just like fucking does nothing to him. This is the same guy who can also like deflect void energy. His sword can like block it. So the Tenno can like fight with Umbra and can like tank attacks from Umbra's sword. So yeah. There's also some other statements to get this level of chain scaling, as Ordis implies that the sentients are a threat to the Tenno, and that is something interesting, considering if their void energy and void beams like one-shotted the sentients like it does with the Grineer, then they wouldn't be really a threat to them. And Umbra fucking destroys sentients. He is quite literally made to fuck sentients over and completely destroy them. He's quite literally made to fight sentients. So he should be able to scale to sentients, and the sentients should be able to scale to void energy. And this is also consistent, as they can tank void energy, like they can just straight up tank that shit. So yeah, there's a lot of so that's a lot of consistency for the Tenno being able to physically scale to their void beams, and the sentients can also like be destroyed by Umbra. Like I said, he's made to fight sentience. So that's a lot of consistency for chain scaling to the void beams, but there is so much more to this shit, bruh. But yeah, we're gonna quickly get into that. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just absolutely fucking crazy how much goes into this series, and yet literally no one scales it. So like shown earlier, the void is able to the void it's implied that the void took every aspect of science and philosophy, due to the fact that anything that is changed because of the void, it should have, due to the fact that it has eternalism. So that kind of like just implies that the void should just have anything that changes because of it. But the void also should have stuff like time, causality, and existence itself. As in the same statement, it stated that the void led to a paradigm shift in the understanding of time, causality, and existence. So that implies that also just implies, and is like semantically stated, that it is the same as it changing every aspect of science and philosophy. This is very important, and because we're gonna get to this in a second, but I should quickly state that philosophy is that like Plato's theory of forms is like a philosophical concept, obviously, but then also so is Neoplatonism, which Platonism connects to. And if it's changing every aspect of philosophy, and dualism is a philosophy inside of Warframe, and it should connect to Platonism, which in and of itself connects to Neoplatonism. This should also imply that Platonism and Neoplatonism exist inside of Warframe. As if it's changing every aspect of philosophy, it should be able to affect stuff that is connected to dualism. There's a lot more consistent stuff than just that. There's a lot more to it. But that's really the main argument that I use for this. But basically, yeah. So Neoplatonism has emanations, or RFs, which basically means that, how it works is that emanations, it's like an ontological concept and a transcendent concept. It's basically where like anything that emanates from something else, it's like below that thing in perfection. It's like completely below that. So it's like so therefore there should be several qualitative transcendences as well. So yeah, and causality also connects to Platonism as well, as it is relevant in Platonism. But that's basically the gist of the argument for more consistent Platonism, and some stuff for Neoplatonism being in the verse as well. So yeah, there's a lot more consistent arguments, but to be honest, it would just take me forever to go through them all. But like, that's the main gist of the argument, if you want to argue that. But I have an entire cosmology doc on Warframe which goes over all the consistent arguments. I will be linking that as well if you want to read it. So yeah, and it has all the consistent arguments for the Tenno and the tiers and all that. So yeah, I'm just going to be talking about some Neoplatonism stuff now, just so you can get the general gist of that. So basically, like I said before, it has emanations, but how many emanations does it have? Or how many transcendences does it have? And basically, yeah, these transcendences, they work they work on like the ontological and qualitative level, which basically means if it qualitatively transcends one thing, then it's like outer. So if you like qualitatively transcend the space and time of something, then you are qualitatively above space-time, which makes you outerversal by definition. Since you are no longer limited to those things and you completely transcend them, and you are not limited to any of that. So yeah. So how many emanations sorry, does it have? Well, basically there are 3 emanations. There's just the material world, which is basically just like the main universe, the soul world, which just qualitatively transcends the material world, the intellect world, which just qualitatively transcends the soul world, and then the one which qualitatively transcends the intellect. So yeah, there's all of that, but to be honest, there's a lot more to it. Like I said, I go over all of it in the Warframe cosmology doc I made. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. That's basically the simplified version of it. So yeah, that is 3 qualitative transcendences, as the soul world is qualitative transcendent to the material world, the intellect is qualitative transcendent to the soul world, and the one is qualitative transcendent to the intellect. Usually the one would be boundless, but since scaling to it at all would contradict it being boundless, that would just mean that it is just extraversal, due to the fact that it has enough qualitative transcendences to be extraversal, or high outerversal plus, depending on the system that you use. So yeah. So basically, the Tenno at the high ball would be extraversal, and mid ball would be a layer to outerversal to high outerversal, as I'm not really too sure about the Tenno scaling to the one, as there is some weird stuff there, as yeah, sure, the void energy did like affect it should affect Neoplatonism, but it's like the one is like, it isn't exactly like a realm that is like a being, or how do I, it's not really a person, but you get what I mean. It's not really a world like the intellect world or the soul world or the material world. It's like a sentient being. So it's like, I'm not sure why the Tenno would scale to it. Because if it did exist, then it would logically just be above everything else. It would probably be the void itself, which I don't think the Tenno would really scale to. I don't think they scale to the entirety of the void. I think they only scale to a thing that affects all these concepts, but I don't think they scale to the void itself, or like the entirety of the void. So so extraversal is like the really high ball if you really wanted to go there, but at mid ball he's like a layer into outer to high outer, and or like low outer to high to one layer to outer to one layer into outer to high outer, and his low ball would be 5D. So yeah, crazy jump, I know, but yeah, if you want to look at all the other consistent arguments, I will be linking the Warframe cosmology doc I made, but I also made a doc going over some of the Tenno's haxes. I will be linking that as well, but just to go over the stuff that the Tenno has that I already have listed, I will be adding more to it as time goes on. So basically, as of right now, from the doc of Tenno's haxes, he should have narrative manipulation, conceptual manipulation, information manipulation, causality manipulation, abstract existence type 2, high godly regeneration negation, resistance negation by 1 layer, acausality type 4, acausality type 3, non-physical interaction, paradoxical non-existence, and paradoxical non-existence with the aspects of conceptual and mental. So, yeah, I will be linking all of that in the description if you want to have a look. But yeah, those are the arguments, basically, for all of the Tenno's high tier shit. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, it's really confusing, I know, and if your brain spins when reading the Warframe cosmology doc, don't worry, it made mine too. So yeah, so we'll move on to the conclusions now. So overall, who wins? Well, let's break this down. First of all, the Tenno absolutely outscales the Doomslayer via having way better attack potency and physical stats. Since the Tenno does scale to warframes, but even then, the Tenno should just be able to have a warframe themselves. And on top of this, the Tenno can transport their power into a warframe, so it doesn't even matter. They just, they can just use their haxes through the warframes. And on top of this, the warframes, they just outscale Doomslayer by a lot. Even with their low balls, the Tenno and warframes are getting into small city level to country level ranges. Meanwhile, the Doomslayer with his low balls have a maximum of island level. But with their cosmic scaling, they do get a bit closer when we're using downplayed cosmic scaling. They both get multiversal and universal plus level scaling. Due to various reasons, but as soon as we get into their high tier cosmic scaling, that's when things tilt in the Tenno's favor quite considerably. The Tenno's low ball is the Doomslayer's scaling, where the Tenno is already at 5D to 6D, and the Doomslayer caps out at 6D. But past that, it's just not even fair, bro. The Tenno then gets low outer versal scaling to 1 layer into outer versal to high outer versal, and there is definitely some high balls that you could use for the Doomslayer, like for example outer versal hell or low outer versal via pan-dimensionality with some stuff. But if we're gonna give Doomslayer his wings, the Tenno with his high balls is extra versatile. So yeah, it's just like no matter how you slice it, the Doomslayer is getting outscaled. But what about haxes? Well, the Doomslayer definitely has some pretty good haxes. For a character who's so physically dependent, you'd think his haxes would be pretty mediocre, but he has some pretty good ones. Like possibility manipulation and fate manipulation. But the Tenno has narrative manipulation, conceptual manipulation type 1 by the way, information manipulation type 2, high godly regeneration, and high godly regeneration negation. He just has way better haxes than the Doomslayer, and these haxes also work on a way higher range, with these haxes being derived from the void energy, which I already explained is a low outer versal to a layer into outer versal to high outer versal to possibly extraversal. So the Tenno outscales and outhaxes, and with speed, it's also in the Tenno's favor. With them both having a measurable speed, but the Tenno has irrelevant combat and reaction speed if you buy the outer versal metas. If you only buy Tenno being low outer versal, then they're both equal in speed. But if you buy the outer versal metas, then the Tenno does get irrelevant speed stuff. And he possibly also has a relevant movement speed, but that's a bit iffy, and I want to look into that more myself. So, the Tenno outspeeds, outhaxes, and outscales. So, there's not really much the Doomslayer can do in this situation. The Doomslayer is definitely a powerful enemy, but the Tenno just has way better haxes, way better scaling, way better speed. So, in conclusion, the Tenno wins with no difficulty. See you all later, and I hope you all enjoyed this one. It took me so fucking long to make this video for y'all, and I really hope that you all enjoyed it as much as I suffered making it. So yeah, love you all. I hope that I get to that I get to make more of these videos for you guys. If you want me to cover a matchup in the future, leave it down in the comments. I'll probably do it. But I have a bunch more matchups I have planned, and I love y'all. See y'all next time. Bye.